Hey everybody. So yesterday I was told that apparently I do some nifty things, or I Troyify my Gmail, as it were. So I'm gonna show you a couple things that I do with labels in Gmail, as well as filters in the settings. So, a couple things to remember for anyone who's new to Gmail, or maybe you're making the transition, like people in my district are right now. With Gmail, some things that will help you maybe remember some of the things we're going to talk about today. When we talk about labels like these ones over here on the left of my screen, these are what you might traditionally see as folders in things like Microsoft Exchange or other um, uh, email clients. Um, when I talk about filters, um, kind of associate those with rules, as you might see in like a Microsoft Exchange product. So first things first, when emails come in to my inbox, as you can see right now, I have about 270. Not too long ago, this was around like 4,000, like edging up on 5,000. And I'm still kind of sorting things out. But a way that you can sort things out is you can create labels. So if you go over to the left-hand side of Google, or sorry, of Google, of your Gmail, if you go over to the left side of your Gmail and you see this little more button, if you hit that and you come down, you'll see at the very bottom a button that says create new label. Now, when you click create new label, you get this little screen that comes up. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create a label for someone I have some emails from. So I'm going to type in, and if she sees this, sorry, Miss Warren, that I'm using you as my exemplar, but you're just such a great email that comes in all the time. So I'm going to use you as my exemplar. So you're a good example. So I'm going to create my label. So in this case, I'm just going to title it Mary. So I'm going to create, and then over here on the side, my new label has popped up. Okay, now with a label, you have some options. These three dots. Anytime you see three dots in anything in Google, that's going to be some settings, some things you can edit. So if I hit those three dots next to my label, I can edit how this shows up in my label list over here, because these are all labels or folders, kind of. I can have it always showing. I can have it showing if it's unread, or I can hide it. So for instance, like you might see over here, I don't have my star label because I don't really use it all that much. So I just put it down in the hidden section underneath that little more area. So I have to actually click more to go and find it. I don't use it. But if I'm creating a label, I might be using that one more than something like that. So in this case, what I'm going to do, and this is how I have all of my labels set, all the ones I create, I have them all show if unread. And you'll notice that little label for Mary Warren popped away. Now, that basically means the label is only going to pop up above this more button if a new email comes into it. And it lets me know, like these are the labels right now, like I have my academic coach label. It's got a 1 next to it and it's been bolded. I know there's a new email in there that I need to go and read. Now, you may be noticing a couple things. How do I get emails to just go there and let me know? Are they going to just show up in my inbox? Are they going to pop up in 10 million places? There's a way around that. What you're going to do is you're going to create a filter or a rule. So if you go over to the little cog or gear and you go to settings, it'll take a second to load. You're going to find the heading filters and blocked addresses up here at the top. So if you click on filters and blocked addresses, now you'll see I have all of these filters or rules that I've already created. Okay. Now, with those, I can skip past them. I just come down to create a new filter. Now, you have to start in terms of like how you might search for things, because this area allows you to search or create a filter. So for this, I'm going to enter Ms. Warren's email address because I want all the emails from her to go into that label. So I've put in her email address. Now, I don't really have to change any of this because they're coming to me I don't necessarily need to put in a subject because I just want all of her emails to come into her label. Now, if I only wanted emails from her that were about specific things and I knew she was going to consistently put that word or words into the subject for those things, then I could put that information there. But remember, if the subject isn't going to be consistent, you're not going to want to do that. Then I can come down to create filter, and it's going to give me some options. What do I want this emails from Ms. Warren to do when they arrive in my inbox? Well, I want them to go to the label I've created for her. So I'm going to click apply the label, and then I'm going to choose that label. So there's her label. And oh, look down here, also apply filter to 5 matching conversations. So I already have some conversations from her that could apply to this. So I'm going to click that as well. Now, another thing I do with all of my filters, since I'm going to have them going into a filter where all of the information or emails or conversations from that person, or in some cases people, will be, I don't really need to see them in my main inbox or in that main feed of emails. I just want them to go automatically to that filter. I don't want to see it otherwise, because remember, I set my filters so they show if unread. I'll know when I have a new one because the filter automatically gets moved up above that more button so I can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this top button, skip the inbox, and archive it. In Gmail, your archive is your all mail, like mine right over here. Anytime you want to find it, it's not going to have been deleted. It just skips over the inbox, goes into its label, and gets archived. So that way you don't need to see it in your inbox. Now, if you don't like that and you do want to see it in your inbox, feel free to leave that button unchecked. But I always do. So I'm going to click that one. And then I click create filter. And it'll take it a second. Okay, now, as you'll see over here, all 5 of those conversations that were unread from Ms. Warren have popped in to her label. So if I click on that label, here are all those conversations. Now, watch over here on the left, just to see what happens. I'm going to mark all of her emails as read, so you can see what happens to the label once all of the emails have been read. It pops away, and they're gone. Now, some of her emails have already been marked with other labels, which is why we saw some other things pop away here. But that's what happens. I have them listed as read only, so once I've read them, that label goes away. I don't need to see it anymore. Now, what happens if, let's say, you want to include emails from several people? Okay, so maybe you have an entire department and you want all of the emails from everyone in that department to just go into one label. There's an easy way to do that. So you go back to your filters and blocked messages. And I'll give you an example like this one. Now, this rule right here, or filter, I created for my ELA department. So if I click edit, I can look at this. Now, to get all of the emails from everyone that I need to get caught in this filter, in this rule, I need to enter all of them in the from line. So, for instance, I entered my first one. Right after the end of it, I put a comma, space, and then in caps, you type or, in the space, your next email address. Then comma, space, caps, or next email address, and so on until you got all of the emails you want in that line. Remember, don't forget those spaces, and the or needs to be in caps. That's what I saw online, so that's what I did. Now, what I've also done is, since I have about 27 or so labels in Gmail, I went ahead and included some exclusions. So I want all the emails from all of these people to go into my ELA label. However, if the email has the words leadership or ILT, which stands for Instructional Leadership Team, I don't want those emails there. I want them to go in a different filter that I have, a different label. So I put those words here. So that means if a email comes from Ms. Bezdek, I know it's not going to have anything to do with leadership or with our instructional leadership team because I've excluded those words. I don't want the email to have those, and if it does, it's not going to apply to this filter. And then, of course, you would click continue. You would select what you want to have done. And then in this case, I'm going to update filter. If you were creating this your first time, you would click create filter. So I'm just going to update just to make sure. And we're all set. So now, instead of having every single email come into my inbox, now I have them go into all of my labels, and they only reveal themselves to me above this more or less button when they have a new email that's arrived. And then as soon as I read them, they go away. So hopefully that can help some of you to maybe Troyify or organize your Gmail. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email.